Ladies and gentlemen,
welcome to the show. It's Movie Wire time. Oh, the Movie Wire. Bring the firing squad. Bill, Justin. Give the finger or laugh or smile. It's time to find out. No more waiting. So here we go. The Sultan of Cinema. The gumshoe of review. Here is Justin Henson. Let's start the show. Let's go.
welcome to the Movie Wire.
Welcome to this week's edition of the Movie Wire. I'm your host, Justin Henson, and welcome to the show. We've got a big show this week with 4 movies to review, with 3 playing in theaters, and we continue adding one Best Picture nominee each week. This week on the show, Fear hits home, and it's always somebody you know in Scream 7. Elvis Presley like you've never seen before in Elvis Presley in Concert. Meet your nightmare, and he's coming for you in a Psycho Killer. And finally, leading up to the Oscars and my season finale of my best films of the year, I will be adding one movie a week that I may have missed in 2025. This is the last one, which will lead to my season finale. This week, it's Brazil 1977, A Time of Great Mischief, in the Oscar nominee, The Secret Agent. We've got a lot to cover this week, so let's jump right in. Ready for my verdict? Let's get into it.
Out of the windows, what? A roar and a burst of flame. The Movie Wire Podcast.
There it is.
With just meet people like me.
The podcast for hot and trending movies.
The Wire.
And here we go.
But wait, there's more. Hang on to your seat, baby, because this one's a screamer.
When a new Ghostface killer emerges in the town where Sidney Prescott has built a new life, her darkest fears are realized as her daughter becomes the next target. In Scream 7.
This is it.
Can't believe we're staying at the Psycho Killer B&B.
Oh, that's so cool. It's a motion detector.
Hello?
Hello, Sydney. Did you miss me? Nice little town you found. You and your pretty daughter. Reminds me of where we grew up.
Well, you sure know a lot about me for another asshole hiding behind a voice changer.
Oh, I'm not hiding, Sydney. Not this time.
Down to the end. I want to be a fighter, like you. If you hurt her.
I'm not going to hurt her until you're here to see it.
Let's unmask this fucker.
All your friends died for just being near you.
Where is my daughter? Tatum, listen to me. He's trying to find another way in. We're gonna do this together. You're gonna have to shoot him through the wall. Where? To the right of the door. Shoot him now! Do it now! Oh, you got it. He's dead. You need to make sure you shoot him in the head.
I'm gonna burn it all down.
Mother!
This is gonna be fun.
Let's see how far we can stretch this is the main topic during the writing process and pre-production of Scream 7. How many mass killers, how many uncles, sisters, mothers, garbage men of the mass killer from the first one that was the second cousin once removed from the killers of the fourth Scream can we attempt to reveal? In which the studio says, as many as we fucking want. To the point I really want to make a joke about the reveal in this one, but I can't. But it did have me putting my head in my hand, peeking through my fingers while I gave a little chuckle, in which, of course, the camera zooms to Sydney while she says, "You," while the audience tilts their head in unison and says, "Who the fuck is that?" Even Sydney's face says it all, like she didn't know it was in the script, where instead of the line, you can tell she wanted to say, "What the fuck? Really?" And don't worry, I have left out all the details to ensure nothing is spoiled. But with that said, here's the deal. It's, of course, a repetitive formula in the franchise. It's predictable. The film seems to kind of steer away from the cleverness satire of horror to just becoming horror. But the one thing Scream 7 does bring to the table, mildly, in mere dialogue to point out, but doesn't really lean too heavy as it should, is that this marks 30 years for the Scream films, and the main horror topic at hand, or in general here I should say, is this movie covers nostalgia bait in films, and we get that here from numerous cameos to delivered lines of dialogue that just feels good, while at the same time tying into AI or deepfakes as a contemporary version of the voice changer from what the 96 film made memorable. It tries to do something different while giving fans what they want. Now, don't get me wrong, this film has more holes and why the fuck did you do that moments than any of the other Scream films that the previous films always pointed out as dumb. But they don't have any Randys to tell these kids the rules. So I guess this movie can use that as an excuse, I guess. Scream 7 follows Sydney once again, played by Neve Campbell, who is living with her husband Mark, played by Joel McHale, who's the town's police chief, and their daughter Tatum, named after the one that got killed by the garage door in Scream 1, played by Isabel May. Sydney gets a phone call from yet another person with a voice changer that Sydney doesn't take serious. That is, until a video call comes through with someone that's a blast from her past. This catapults the movie back into the tropes of the Scream films. But this one feels different. It feels more spread out than any of the other films, where the first hour seems to drag its feet to get what the audience wants. Ghostface killings. When the pacing after the first hour does start to pick up some pace, I have to say, I had a lot of fun with this one. For what it is and the audience it was meant for, I found myself having a better time than I have in the last couple of the Scream films. It reminded me of how the Saw movies used to come out every year for Halloween. I would go to every single one. But where it got exhausting for me is when they changed the formula and tried to do something clever to expand the story, and it just came across boring. And I started dragging my feet to go see those movies, because we went from looking at some clever traps to clever kills to trying to explain it, trying to add some depth to the character that nobody cares about. Here with Scream 7, the nostalgia pieces aren't overwhelming but subtle, that hints at topics it's trying to portray. Nostalgia bait in sequels or remakes. It never overpowers or overstays its welcome. It's just enough to lead the audience along to what's real and what's not. Where the movie presents the usual suspects, the boyfriend, friend, somebody close, etc., etc. But then the movie presents potential deepfakes where the killer can be anybody. This is clever given the times. Our 1999 T.G. Miss Tingle director and writer, Kevin Williamson, delivers in his second directed film something that feels more stylish and definitely more fun. From the opening scene, we can tell that this one was going to feel different, and it absolutely does. Does it break new ground? No, but it does give us just enough to appease fans and just purely entertain without thinking too much about it. And believe me, if you are one of those that go to a Scream film to just try and guess who done it, don't waste your time. Not worth it. Just go in and take the film for what it is. Our writers Williamson, Guy Busick from last year's Final Destination Bloodline, and last year's Nuremberg writer James Vanderbilt create a script that is pretty straight to the point of allowing these characters to do the same old things they always do. But the vision of how these characters look in the environment and react to the environment, or treating the characters to where they are now, without spending too much time introducing a brand new set of characters in an attempt to catapult to number 8, 9, 10, 32, whatever it may be. This is at least a smart balance. Scream 7, while it doesn't break new ground in where the franchise will go next, it's still a fantastic popcorn movie to really just sit back and enjoy with familiar characters that do the same stuff. But it leans into a new feeling of nostalgia to really have us invested on where our filmmakers are going to take us next. And even though the reveal many will have strong opinions on, it didn't ruin the fun I had with this film. I'm giving Scream 7 a marginal pass at 3 stars.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, yes, that's right, Elvis Presley. Ladies and gentlemen, could I have your attention, please? I'd like to tell you that we're going to do a sad song for you. This song here is one of the saddest songs we've ever heard. It really tells a story, friends. Beautiful lyrics. It goes something like this.
The king of rock and roll, Elvis Presley, featuring never-before-seen footage and recordings in EPiC Elvis Presley in concert.
Been a lot written and a lot said, but never from my side of the story. Hey, the light's on. I can see you. Hello out there. Hello. Camera crew, gentlemen. All right. It's coming closer. I feel like I'm slipping away. Play the hell out of it. Your kisses left behind. If you feel it, like the sweet song of you can't help but move to it. You light my morning sky, burning love. It's a new crowd out there. They haven't seen us before. But it's got to be like the first time we go on. That's one of the secrets.
Now, there has been documentaries or music biopics that really spell out the topic or person they are covering. And lately with music documentaries, it has been catered to fans more so than wanting to learn something about the band or musician for new viewers of the topic. From Elvis miniseries, documentaries to films, they have always, to me at least, followed the same tune. Even with Baz Luhrmann's Elvis from 2022, in which at least he tried adding a contemporary tone to it. But here, Luhrmann attacks Elvis in a way that I have never seen before. That not only is brilliant filmmaking, it's flawless editing, and allowing our main topic, Elvis, tell the tale not just with the words he has said from found footage, but a complicated string of footage from concerts that just in its mere visuals and presence of Elvis tells a story without interviews, without spoken dialogue. We see a visual story being told, a progression of a character, a progression of a musician being told right in front of our eyes. The title of this, people are going to attend to assume they are just going to see Elvis in concert. But those that don't know much going into it are going to be treated to a story that doesn't insert interviews, knowledge we already know. We cut off all the in-between tragedy and rise and fall baggage we have already been introduced to in other attempts of telling Elvis's story. Somehow, Baz Luhrmann is able to connect to the viewer through restored footage clips, restored clips of him and his concerts through time, and does something magical with them, which is watch rise and fall through the man himself and his performances to tell the tale. And the biggest success is having this be so effective is going to be the editing by Jonathan Redman, in which he could be shouting from the rooftop, screaming, "I edited EPiC Elvis Presley in concert," and everybody should stop in their tracks and applaud. This will be Redman's Mona Lisa on his resume. Now, Redman did edit Elvis from 2022, but at the same time, it wasn't noticeable. The editing wouldn't have helped or destroyed this movie because the editing was standard stuff. But here It's make or break for this concept to actually have it work or make it effective to feel a story being told through clips of Elvis and his progression through time of performances. The editing has to be razor tight, and we can feel the work being put into every millisecond cut here. The clips that Luhrmann has on screen is enough for fans to be transported back in time, but even more so, they are remastered so well that we literally feel that we are in concert with Elvis. We feel like we have been taken back in time, and we can almost feel and touch the people on screen. Please don't try and touch the people on screen. Anyway, each clip feels so detailed and refined from old footage, it baffles me that they couldn't even get Tom Hanks' makeup right in the 2022 Elvis. But they could take this footage and make something that's eye-catching and engaging. Not to mention, of course, the music that just doesn't focus on Elvis's greatest hits, but songs that I've never heard before. And I took something away from a movie that tells a story through these clips. That's a huge filmmaking skill. One of my favorite scenes, or clips I should say, is where we have a focus on Hunka Hunka Burning Love, and the movie focuses on the artist whose sole job is this.
Just a hunka hunka burning love. Hey, I'm just a hunka hunka burning love. I'm just a hunka burning hunka.
We get a close-up shot of this man having a blast, and the fact the footage shows a focus on a screaming man in Hunka Hunka Burning Love was actually quite brilliant. To take a slight break on Elvis and insert a little fun, to the point I want a spin-off movie about the Hunka Hunka screaming guy. Elvis in concert is smart enough to know to give the viewer a brief, almost mental intermission from Elvis from time to time, to have us digest what we've seen, instead of giving us the full runtime of old clips with Elvis in every single scene, every single shot. It knows that if it's going to tell a story through concert clips, that we need to have reactions and other parties participate to kind of pull everything together. And that absolutely works here. This is a movie that if you have a chance to see it while it's playing in IMAX, do it. It is a gift for the senses that will make your toes tap and keep your eyes glued to the screen, even with Elvis's sweatiest performance, which, by the way, is a true test of how detailed these old videos are restored, because I felt I was at the aquarium with how wet this man was on stage. Elvis in concert took skill, time, and strategy to pull off the vision that it intended to do. This is a movie that not only is well made, we can see the love and care that went into pre-production planning and post-production craftsmanship at its finest. Even if you are not a fan of Elvis or too young enough to know much about him, Luhrmann doing his Luhrmann thing will suck you in with his style of grabbing your attention through his visuals and musical filmmaking. And not to shit on 2022's Elvis, but I would have been perfectly happy if we only got this one made by Baz Luhrmann. See this movie while you can while it's in theaters. I'm giving EPiC, Elvis in concert,
We got one!
4 stars.
Oh, yes, you are, devil in disguise. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby.
Now, before we get into the rest of the show, make sure to check out my reviews for movies that just became available to rent, buy, or stream now.
Now available on video cassette.
The future of criminal justice is artificial intelligence in Mercy, where we spend a couple hours staring at Chris Pratt until we say, Lord have mercy, is it over, receiving 2.5 stars. A hidden life, a dangerous past, a storm closing in, is the generic outline tagline to any other Jason Statham movie that even for a Jason Statham movie was below par, receiving 1.5 stars. You live here now in Return to Silent Hill, which will be the tagline if I end up in hell, followed by an eternity of watching Return to Silent Hill, receiving 0.5 star. Here is a new faith in a zombie movie with actual depth and humanity that is just as emotional as it is uncomfortable. In 28 years later, The Bone Temple that received 3.5 stars. Defang the Police in a vampire movie that truly does suck. In Night Patrol that received 1 star. Discover what's behind closed doors in Just Like My Dreams is Sydney Sweeney in an actual good movie in The Housemaid that received 3 stars. Volunteers needed in another zombie apocalypse movie that actually attempts a message and is marginally successful in We Bury the Dead that got a marginal recommendation at 3 stars. Have you been exposed in a movie that not only was a big snub for the Oscars, but this year don't be surprised if you see it on my best list in a movie that tackles adolescent social commentary, and The Plague, that received 3.5 stars. It's not the size of the snake that matters, it's how long it plans to play with you, in which it spends the entire time playing with you thinking it's a good movie in Anaconda, that received 1 star. They're back with a twist, and the biggest twist is that it surpasses the original film in Zootopia 2, that received 3.5 stars. A story about the people you love and how to survive them in a movie that was so bland and misguided I forgot I even reviewed it in Ella McKay, that received 1.5 stars. This Christmas, you better be good or Santa's gonna slay in Silent Night, Deadly Night, that appeases the gore lover with adding some nice character touches, that received 3 stars. Something's wrong with Ben, he's dangerously close to human in Primate, that is primitive in logic, but who cares, it's a lot of fun, that received 3 stars. 5 years ago, the world ended, and that was just the beginning, and this sequel feels like the beginning that nobody cares about. It's rare for the end of the world to just feel boring in Greenland 2, that received 2 stars. Brendan Fraser plays a washed-up actor who is hired to play a father to a little girl. But one of the best movies of the year is Rental Family, that is true cinematic soul food, receiving 4 stars. Are you ready for another SpongeBob movie? You should be, for the SpongeBob movie Search for SquarePants. That surprised me with the amount of heart a SpongeBob movie can have, to receive 3 stars. Inspired by a legend, bound by a dream. Our filmmakers may have had a dream, but it definitely didn't inspire in Song Sung Blue, that received 2 stars. First Hunt, Last Chance, and Predator Badlands, which was a fun addition to the lore without showing us all the cards, quite yet, receiving 3 stars. But for the love of God, no more PG-13 Predator movies. And finally, Anyone Can Survive 5 Nights. This time there will be no second chances, and hopefully this doesn't get a third chance in Five Nights at Freddy's 2, that received 1.5 stars. You can check out those reviews on my previous episodes, and while you do, don't forget to hit follow or subscribe, and please don't forget to leave me a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Now, before I get into the last set of reviews, there is a podcast that's become one of my weekly listening routines to give me a mental break from the stresses of work, and that is with J&K over the F My Worklife Podcast. Make sure to follow and subscribe. The link to that show will be in the description of this episode. But let's hear from J&K over the F My Worklife Podcast now.
Have you ever had a bad day at work?
Well, the Fuck My Work-Life podcast is perfect for you.
Host J and K share listeners' entertaining stories from the workplace, which may have you thinking you don't have it so bad after all.
Find Fuck My Work-Life on your favorite podcast platform.
A police officer tracks a killer after her husband, a highway patrolman, becomes one of the victims in Psycho Killer.
Psycho Killer, qu'est-ce que c'est? Better.
It hasn't even been 48 hours since you buried your husband. What I hope to help you come to grips with, no matter how many times you replay what happened, the outcome is inescapable.
A title that's straight to the point, a title that pretty much states what you're in for, with the exception, it should read Psycho Killer. You have seen better movies with psycho killers. Now, this is a type of movie that still baffles me that it made it to theaters, but I guess with the small budget, this could make a killing when it comes to making a profit. This is the kind of film that screams generic streaming that one would watch past midnight as you scroll your phone and try and sober up to just barely fall asleep. You can turn this movie on at any point and get what's going on. And even more so, not care what's going on. The film stars Georgina Campbell as Jane, a police officer that witnesses her husband, who is also a police officer, get murdered during a traffic stop by our psycho killer played by James Preston Rogers. Jane makes it her mission to hunt this killer down in a series of boring cliches, speeches, forced emotional exchanges with other cops, other characters. Now, let me just cut to the chase. It's hard to fault a movie for just wanting to be a mindless slasher film, but the problem we have is that these characters are boring and throwaway, just like any other slasher film. But the cherry on top is that it's not just the characters, the performances. They're bland and enough to make your eyes roll in the back of your skull, especially with Georgina Campbell, who we saw in the recent Cold Storage with Liam Neeson. Here we can tell that Georgina Campbell is overacting to, I guess, play homage to slasher characters past by overacting, but she really never lands clarity on that. So it just becomes a bad performance. Then we have our psycho killer who, by the end of the second act to the climax, there is some intrigue on motives and intrigue on who he decides to kill or keep alive. That leads into an over-the-top but stylish climax. Our writer Andrew Kevin Walker, who has written some notable films such as Brain Scan, Hideaway starring Jeff Goldblum, 7, 8mm, and Sleepy Hollow, creates his most hollow movie yet, where this is almost a stitched-together idea quilt from his movie's past, or like a cinematic sample stand that you would find at Costco, to give a sample of what Walker's all about from his past. All the elements that we see in a Walker screenplay are here, minus any bite to it, any feeling of threat. And this could be the problem with our new director, Gavin Polone, that plays it too safe when it comes to the tone, look, and feel. Where the movie feels like it's playing out as a made-for-TV movie or a sitcom lighter tone, then we go full dark whenever our killer is in a scene. Given the topic the movie presents, such as murder, Satanism, we almost feel we needed a more raw tone, like we got from 7 or even 8mm to an extent, to forte our writer's intent. Walker's most successful screenplays come from directors that know how to amplify a topic of fear. From serial killers to underground porn crimes, these mere topics naturally makes one feel uncomfortable. And Walker's previous works, teamed up with the right director, got the assignment. Here, Walker brings Satanists to the discussion, and the movie does nothing with it, with the exception of a Satanist dinner party led by Mr. Pendleton, played by Malcolm McDowell, where our psycho killer attends, which is one of the most interesting parts of the movie, and where Polone really taps into the tone to make this scene feel uncomfortable and unpredictable, where our killer is in familiar territory of a group of Satanists, and we are curious to what our killer is going to do. As the movie goes on, Polone seems to feel more edgy when it comes to tone, as if he is learning as he's going. But by the time the credits roll, it's too late. I began to ponder if Polone was trying to go rogue and trying to create another horror figure to build a franchise, in contrary to Walker's script, that we can tell just wanted to be a movie about a psycho killer. Or Walker again went rogue and wanted at this point in his career to make a cheeky midnight movie that played tribute to the genre. I began to wonder on what this movie was trying to do versus what was going on in the movie. It's not that the movie's confusing, we are confused on what the filmmakers are trying to create. Psycho Killer needed to find one direction to go in, and go all in. A raw movie about a sadistic killer, or a cheeky slasher movie that has fun with itself, or just a slasher movie with memorable kills and a focus on who our killer is with a big threat. We don't get any of that here, but we do have a couple of kill scenes that are predictable, but also outdoes itself with not stopping until the movie hears the audience gasp. Psycho Killer has moments and at times looks good, but this is a movie that is all over the place trying to self-identify what it wants to be. Our director Polone has some good ideas and good shots, but it wasn't intended for this movie. In the end, we just get a forgettable movie with forgettable characters and some cringy performances that makes this at times hard to watch. I'm giving Psycho Killer 1.5 stars. In 1977, a technology expert flees from a mysterious past and returns to his hometown of Recife in search of peace. He soon realizes that the city is far from being the refuge he seeks. In the Oscar-nominated film, The Secret Agent. Now let's hear from our movie critic turned Oscar-nominated filmmaker and his star, Wagner Now.
I would say that I am an old-fashioned filmmaker. The first thought that I have when I picture the film, when I'm writing the script, is that it should be a film for the cinema, theatrical. Yeah, I was covering the Cannes Film Festival. That was my first contact with the Cannes Film Festival as a film critic. And in 2005, there was a film from Brazil called Loa City, and Wagner was in the film. Alice Braga was in the film also. And that's how we met. I got to interview him in a junket. And then we hit it off, and I interviewed him also with Elite Squad, which won the Golden Bear in Berlin, and José Padilha film. And that's how a beautiful friendship began.
You know, I had read some of his critics' reviews, how do you say?
Yeah,
reviews. And he was a great critic, indeed. But I think he's an even better filmmaker.
Thank you.
Now, first and foremost, this can be a confusing movie, and those not familiar with Brazil's history and culture, especially Brazil in the 70s, might struggle with this movie. I know I sure did, and I'm sure I didn't get as much from it as those that are familiar with it. But this begs the question that I brought up in 2019 with the Oscar winner for Best Picture and Best Foreign Film, Parasite, that went up against movies like 1917, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Joker, The Irishman, Marriage Story, Jojo Rabbit, Ford vs. Ferrari, and the sentimental throw-in Little Women. Which, my question was, if we have a Best Foreign Picture category, does it make sense to have it nominated for overall Best Picture? Part of me says it would have to be an extremely perfect movie to be included. And Parasite, to me, kind of was. But then we look at movies like The Secret Agent that, like me, should we just exclude the Best Foreign Language Film category and put those movies in just one category? Or keep to what the category means and just separate the two? Because holistically, 2020, it would have come down to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Joker, and Jojo Rabbit, in my opinion. And I know, I get the criteria for the Academy. I understand all that. But that still doesn't mean I have to agree with it. Especially since walking out of The Secret Agent, it did spark some back and forth debate within my thoughts. Fast forward to now with The Secret Agent, where this is where I'm going to take my emotion out of it. That The Secret Agent should only be in the Best Foreign Language Movie category because there has been better movies this year where art should be a universal language of interpretation. And at times, The Secret Agent does get there, I guess. But at the same time, I have to say, this was a struggle for me. I love the performances, especially with our main character of multiple names, Armando, played by Wagner Moura. I also love the cinematography by Eugenia Alexandrova, and the direction by Keebler Mondoka Filho is on point. And there is a shot in the film where it's an old movie theater projection booth that has a window that peers out to the city. And the camera so slightly pans to engulf us into this world, or attempt to. Instead of me being engulfed, I thought to myself, I know what I'm looking at is well done. I love this shot. But damn, I wish even harder I knew what the hell was going on. In the first act, it's decently simple to grasp, where Armando is caught up in political trouble under a Brazilian military dictatorship and flees to his hometown to avoid persecution. And following the plot after that, we get Armando's journey when our writer-director, Filho, starts to add more and more. It was hard to grasp or hold on to what I was seeing on screen. And, at the same time, the complexity of understanding shouldn't outweigh what we can see on screen. The film is beautifully made, and sometimes even when we stare at a piece of art or a painting, we don't need to know the internal thoughts of the artist to its full extent to appreciate the skill that went into it. The look of the movie is the biggest appeal to me, along with the performances. But at the same time, I'm not on the gravy train here. The Secret Agent for Best Picture of the Year, I can't buy into. In time, I may pull it up again to give it another go. But for the time being, I don't really have a desire to rewatch this film. It was a struggle during the first watch. And again, not because it was badly made. It looks great. It was a hard first time watch because I couldn't understand everything that was going on to really appreciate the messaging of what I was being told on screen. The one thing I was grasping onto, again, is the performances and visuals. That was the only thing that really was the entertainment piece of it. And by doing that, I missed a lot of the messaging. I needed something more. But this is one of those reviews that I don't want you to take my word for it, because this is going to be, again, just like art, fully up to interpretation. There's going to be some viewers that fully understand what's going on and can really appreciate this movie holistically. But that's not me. The Secret Agent, I can understand that some will be rooting for this movie, and maybe my strategy of going into a movie with little knowledge wasn't a good strategy here. Maybe I should have done my research prior. Maybe I should give it another go. But when a movie makes you ponder the maybes and shouldas, that's where I have to say I can't recommend it. I'm giving The Secret Agent 2.5 stars. And that's a cut on this week's edition of The Movie Wire. I want to thank you for listening and thank you for your support. You can also show support by following me on Instagram, Blue Sky, X, Thread, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, and Letterboxd at Movie Wire Show. And please don't forget to leave a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And if you haven't yet checked out the Cult-Worthy Cinema Podcast and the Movie Wire's crossover show, Back to the Balcony, make sure you do. Again, the link of that show will be in the description of this episode. Until next week, do me a favor. Make sure you stay for after the credits to show the respect to those that put their blood, sweat, and tears into making a feature film and support your local movie theaters.
Thank you for bringing me to the movies.
Let the credits roll. We say farewell. Join us next time. We'll have more tales to tell.